Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a subject to you today that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and that is exploitation. With special emphasis, as usual, in my videos, I like to connect something interesting and perhaps less commonly known so that people can make better decisions with better information, I hope. So, exploitation, what do I mean by that? Well, some of these ideas are obvious, some of them aren't, so I like to just clarify which meaning I have in my videos. So, exploitation is using or abusing something because it is an opportunity that perhaps other people would be disadvantaged uh, in the context of, such as they do not have that opportunity. And I'm going to have a real story to tell here. So, I very recently had to call a courthouse. It's a family matter that isn't necessarily relevant to this video, but something happened while I was on the phone. And I want to, it was actually the impetus for this video, what happened. So the story is I called the courthouse and I received the best service I have ever received from any courthouse. I mean, unbelievably fast, efficient service. And I believe I understand why. I didn't understand immediately, but I thought about it. And it turns out there are some very attractive, eligible people working in this courtroom, in the courthouse, I should say. And I remember them, and I believe they remember me from my when I called. There was, nothing so overt as an invitation, but there was elliptically perhaps an invitation, and you just kind of have to read the subtext in certain cases. And without diving too deep into that, here's the thing. I think I understand what happened, and what happened is many times women will use their sexual appeal, if they have it. Most of them do, to perhaps survive, to receive fair treatment, more fair treatment, better treatment, and it's in their toolbox, and it should be. But here's the problem. There is a problem. To call any event in which sex appeal influences a situation exploitation is not correct. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, in many of my videos, I try to highlight the fact that a snapshot, that is the instant event, in this case, sex appeal influencing the outcome of something, does not define the behavior. Just because something happened, and that may have happened yesterday on my call and for many women in general, doesn't mean that it's intentional or exploitative. What defines exploitation? Well, motive and context, right? The effect, the actual output and the input. I think in terms of programs. Motive and effect. That is the whole picture, not just the snapshot. Not just whether or not something was present or a symbol happens to fit something that was in the middle, but someone was trying. Intentions. Now, this is extremely problematic. When intentions are involved in analysis, suddenly we have an unknown. It's a variable that we cannot prove. And this is why it's so annoying to people. We prefer to make rules and symbols and say, well, if something you do happens to match this symbol, if it looks like exploitation, we're just going to call it exploitation. Well, pause for a second. When I called the courthouse, which other courthouse was I supposed to call, first of all? There's only one superior court in that county, and the details of the case make no difference in this video. Hopefully that's obvious. I got somebody on the phone who apparently remembered me and who was extremely efficient and productive with my call. Was I trying to achieve that? Did I have any other options? No. I most certainly was not trying to exploit some kind of romantic opportunity or interest in my own favor, and in fact, I had no other alternative. Therefore, whoever that person is, in this case it was me, was not being exploitative, especially if there was no other option. I cannot overemphasize enough that the snapshot is meaningless. in any legal concern, in any behavior, even things themselves are defined by their context. Anything, especially symbols, especially data and rhetorical devices, they are defined by their intended use and their actual effect every time. And it's annoying because how do you prove intentions? How do you prove intentions? They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Have you heard that one? Unfortunately, they matter, whether you can prove them or not. They matter so much that they define the behavior. So exploitation is a real thing. People who go in with false pretenses, being disingenuous, omitting things, or lying overtly, lying directly. These are real things. These are real behaviors, and that is exploitation. If you know you did it on purpose, especially if you had another option that may not have been as convenient, but you did it, that would be exploitation. Anyway, hopefully this is interesting to someone. Not all of my videos are for everybody, but if you have any questions or comments, please by all means reach out to whiteheartrobot@gmail.com. Have a great day.